Hello everyone, welcome to Movie Talk. Today I'll be making a ranking tier list about all of Hans Zimmer's scores that were nominated to an Oscar. I will not be making a Hans Zimmer scores tier list of all of his soundtracks, of all of his scores, because I counted them and it is 158 movies soundtracks. That's a lot, and I will not listen to each one of them. I will not. And I will not watch every single one of those movies because I haven't even watched all of the movies that I'm going to be talking about in this video. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I didn't even watch all of them, but okay. So the way this is going to work out is everyone knows how these things work. Let's just get straight to it. So we have five categories: masterpiece, classic, good, pretty average, and bad. I wanted to just put one category above masterpiece to say the best, but I can just tell you which one is the best in my opinion. Of course, this is personal taste. First things first, I haven't watched all of the movies that are in here. I haven't watched The Preacher's Wife and Rain Man, and I could say I didn't watch Gladiator, but I have. But probably I haven't rewatched it in more than 10 years. And as you can see from my face, I'm not that old, so yeah, this movie is pretty. I don't remember very much anything of this movie, so yes. So how am I going to make this work? I just listen to the soundtracks on Spotify. Some I couldn't find on Spotify, like The Preacher's Wife and As Good as It Gets. So I had to watch on YouTube, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that the movies that I haven't watched, I still listen to the soundtrack and the score to make this movie. So we have here Thin Red Line, Rain Man, As Good as It Gets, The Prince of Egypt, Dune, Dunkirk, The Preacher's Wife, Interstellar, The Lion King, Sherlock Holmes, Inception, and Gladiator. Hans Zimmer is just a god composer. As you can see, a lot of these movies have different genres, and it's never the same thing. And he just makes it work. And he is one of the best, if not the best. For me, he's not the best because the best is John Williams, but he's like fighting in the top spot with John Williams for the best composer of all time. He's just really, really good. So let's go before this video starts getting too long because it will probably be. First thing is Thin Red Line, and one thing that I noticed is that a lot of the tracks that were used in Thin Red Line were similar to Dunkirk because war movie, the soundtrack is similar, at least for me, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie. Don't think it's perfect, but it's a really great movie, and I like the soundtrack. So for me, it's a classic one. Next up, we have Rain Man. I can't talk about this movie because I haven't watched, but I listened to the soundtrack, and there are a lot of tracks that I didn't really get on with, but there is one track that I have to search it because I don't remember the name. Of course, I never remember the names, but there is one track that I remember liking it. Let me just search it. Okay, it's actually quite disappointing because the track that I liked was the end credits track, Las Vegas slash end credits. Yeah, it's okay. It's a bit cringe, but yeah, I liked it. I don't think it's pretty much above average. I think it's pretty average. This is personal taste, of course. This was nominated for an Oscar, so yes, I recognize that it's good. I don't think it's amazing. Um, Quality wise, I don't think it's amazing. I like it, but yeah, whatever. One thing that I have to say is I'm not a professional in music. I don't understand anything about music. If you give me a music sheet, I don't know how it's called even, but if you give me those things with the lines, I don't understand shit about that. So when I have to analyze quality of a music of a soundtrack, I don't because I don't know how. Oh, first my camera is a bit yeah. My camera shouldn't be there because it's occupying the tire list. So let me just do this. Yeah, it can go here. You can go here. Yeah. I didn't prepare this at all. So next is As Good as It Gets. Amazing movie. I love Jack Nicholson. He's in my top three actors of all time. I love Jack Nicholson, and this movie, he won an Oscar for his acting. I love this movie. I watched it with a friend of mine, and he didn't get really. He said it was, it's a good movie. I didn't because, but I loved it so much. I think it was because of Jack Nicholson. I really love him. So, but I'm not here talking about the movie. That's one thing that I remembered now. I'm talking about the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is good. Yeah, the soundtrack is good. It doesn't have any memorable themes for I'm here thinking. Like the main theme, I remembered to that I enjoyed it, but any other than that, I don't remember much else of any other themes. I listened to all of these themes yesterday, so there are some like Dunkirk, Interstellar, Inception that I knew already, and I know a lot of themes tracks. Sorry, but other movie than that. But any other movie I don't. I listened yesterday, and there were some tracks that got into my memory, but the majority didn't actually. And As Good as It Gets is a good movie. Next, we have The Prince of Egypt. I don't remember much of this movie. Not just the soundtrack, but the movie itself. I don't really remember much. I think the soundtrack is pretty average. When I say the soundtrack is pretty average, and there is one soundtrack here that is going to be on the bad category. Spoilers. When I say it's pretty average, it's comparing to the other soundtracks that are here. Like Thin Red Line could be a masterpiece if Interstellar. No. I can say I'm gonna talk about that later. If some of the movies here weren't here. So Thin Red Line was launched in 1999, and for that time there weren't there weren't much soundtracks for Hans Zimmer. So this could as well maybe the best soundtrack of Hans Zimmer in that time. Nowadays there are better soundtracks. He's made better soundtracks. So I have to compare him with himself. I can compare with other movies that aren't in this list or any other movies that aren't even from Hans Zimmer. So I have to compare the movies in this tier list, and for me The Prince of Egypt is a very average. Then we have Dune, and this might be a really controversial one. It won an Oscar for Best Soundtrack. Hans Zimmer has only won 2 Oscars for Best Soundtrack. If I'm not mistaken, the other one is Lion King. I'm gonna search it out just so I don't be stupid. Yes, it was a Lion King. Hans Zimmer has only won Oscar for Best Soundtrack for Dune and The Lion King. And this award-winning, Oscar-winning soundtrack, well, I mean, it was in 2021. There wasn't much. Like, 2021 was a pretty bad year for movies. Not for movies, because there were good movies, but for the Oscars there wasn't much there, and I think that Dune in any other year would have lost, but it won, and I have to say that it's a good soundtrack. I don't think it's a masterpiece, I don't think it's a classic, I think it's a good, but ahead of As Good as It Gets. Yes, there are a lot of tracks that I dislike in this soundtrack. There are also tracks that I like, but in general it's a good soundtrack. If there were more tracks that I disliked it, I would put it in bad. So of course there are more tracks that I like it. I haven't listened to all of them probably, but yes, a good soundtrack. The movie is good. That's it. Then we have Dunkirk, and this is one of my least favorite movies of Christopher Nolan. So maybe I'm going to be biased and I'm going to say that it's a classic. I know a lot of people will put this in the masterpiece area, and I completely understand that. But for me, it's just very similar to Thin Red Line, and I think it's not. I don't think it deserves the masterpiece level. It's a classic one. Maybe I'll put it ahead of Thin Red Line. I'm going to put it ahead of Thin Red Line because of the track Supermarine. That track is amazing. I have listened to it since I discovered it. There wasn't too much time ago, but yeah. I think this movie is average one. I'm always talking about the movies, but I have to talk about the soundtracks. I don't think it deserves the spot of masterpiece. That's it. That's it. Next up, we have The Preacher's Wife, and I don't like it. I just straight up don't like the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. I haven't really listened to the instrumental side of it. I have only found one track of instrumental, then it's all songs by Whitney Houston. I think that's the name. I think that's her name. I'm sorry about if I get it wrong. The songs are kind of okay, but in comparing to all of the other soundtracks in here, I don't really like this one. I think that is the worst in here, and it's going in the bad category comparing to all of the other movies. Then we have Interstellar, and I want to save Interstellar for last. Then we have Lion King, and Lion King is a soundtrack that I didn't expect liking as much as I did. I watched The Lion King when I was a kid, and I rewatched it like 2 years ago, but I didn't remember how good the soundtrack was. And it's going on the masterpiece area because 2 days ago I thought about making this video, and I was searching for the soundtracks, and when I started listening to The Lion King, I found it amazing. The soundtrack was beautiful, and I think it deserves for the masterpiece level, the masterpiece category. It's really great. Maybe it's because of my expectations were low that I'm saying this, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think the soundtrack is actually bonkers, and it's so bonkers that it won an Oscar for it. I think it's a masterpiece. Then we have Sherlock Holmes, and I have to think a bit about this. Going to make this video, I was already with a plan on my head, like, okay, I'm going to put Thin Red Line in classic, probably The Rain Man will get to good, but I don't think so. Preacher's Wife is going to be in the bad category. So I had already a structure prepared in my hand, kinda. But Sherlock Holmes is the one movie that I don't have a structure for it. I don't know where to put it. I don't know. It's a really great soundtrack. So I have to tell you that it's either in the masterpiece area or the classic. I don't know. Well, I think I'm gonna have to choose classic just because there are going to be more movies on the masterpiece section. And I think that I want to. No, I don't care. Sherlock Holmes masterpiece ahead of Lion King. I just probably wasn't expecting a lot of this Sherlock Holmes soundtrack, just like Lion King, but I liked the Sherlock Holmes soundtrack more. Sherlock Holmes is a movie that I have watched like 2 months ago, and watching the movie, I didn't realize how good the soundtrack was. I don't know why or how. And then we have Inception. Inception for me is the best Christopher Nolan movie, and that's nothing deal with this tier list, but I just wanted to say. So yeah, this is going the masterpiece section, the masterpiece category. Like Hans Zimmer is just a amazing composer, and all of these soundtracks have been the Oscars, so it's normal that there will be a lot in the masterpiece section. And I think Inception is amazing. The soundtrack, it has the most memorable track of any other Hans Zimmer score, any other Christopher Nolan score. I'm talking about Christopher Nolan because they have a partnership really strong. They've made like 4 movies together, so that's why I'm talking about Christopher. 4 movies. Sorry, I didn't count the Batman trilogy as a trilogy. I just counted as 1 movie. And I'm really surprised actually to not see any Batman movies in here, like The Dark Knight. How is this not? How is The Dark Knight not appearing here in the best soundtracks? I don't know how, but yes, the track time is one of the most memorable and remarkable tracks in the history of cinema. Everyone knows the ending of Interstellar, no, sorry, of Inception, with that track going, and I have to put it on masterpiece. I I'm not going to put it behind Lion King nor Sherlock Holmes. Maybe Sherlock Holmes will be ahead of Inception. I don't know. Just because the track of time, I have to put Inception ahead of everyone else. There are a lot of other tracks that I can remember from head, like Mombasa, Dream is Collapsing, Dream Within a Dream, and 528419037. I don't remember the correct order, but it's like 528 941, something like that. Then we have Gladiator, and this might also be a polemical one because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. This is just personal taste, as I've said before. All of the rankings in the YouTube, all of the videos about tier lists and things like this, it's just personal taste, and I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, I know. I know. It's for me. I didn't enjoy. Okay, I have to be straightforward with this. I didn't enjoy the soundtrack of Gladiator. Maybe it's because I haven't watched the movie for a long time and I don't really know how it fits in the movie. But the soundtrack, apart from the movie, like in the Spotify, it just didn't catch me. It just didn't catch me, and I have to put it on the pretty average. And then we have Interstellar, and this I'm going to be really straightforward. Best soundtrack of sorry, best soundtrack of Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer will never make a better soundtrack than Interstellar, and I'm so furious. I'm so angry to know that Interstellar didn't won the Oscar and lost for the soundtrack of Grand Budapest Hotel. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's nonsense. No one fucking cares about the soundtrack of Grand Budapest Hotel. Like, no one. No one is going to put it on the soundtrack playlist on Spotify. And Interstellar, at least for me, it has like seven. Um, it has like seven tracks. Like, from memory, I can think of Stay, Cornfield Chase, Mountains, No Time for Caution, the main theme, like Day One, and I think that's it. I don't think I have more, but it's amazing, the soundtrack, not just when we are listening in the Spotify, but in the movie, is something I wanted so much to experience Interstellar in the cinema, especially on IMAX. It would be an amazing experience. I'm again talking about the movie, but the soundtrack, putting it apart, it's beautiful, it's amazing. Hans Zimmer captures the sound of space. Space has no sound, of course, no particles, no material to sound go through the waves, and the music makes us feel the space, makes us so immersed in the movie. And when the main theme, the Stay and Cornfield Chase track, are being shown in the movie, is something more relaxed. But when we go to Mountains or No Time for Caution, for the people who know these tracks that I'm talking about, they will understand me. There's just an intense part of the movie, and the soundtrack is so well done. I'm speechless. This is an amazing soundtrack for an amazing movie, and I'm so sad and angry to know that it hasn't won a single award. Like, maybe an award it has won, but in the Golden Globes and in the Oscars and the BAFTA, it has won nothing. Like, how is that even possible? One of the most remarkable soundtracks of Hans Zimmer, and of all time, one of the most remarkable soundtracks of all time, has won nothing. It's it's I don't know how to describe that I feel, how I feel about that, but yeah, it has to be on the top. Interstellar is an amazing soundtrack. For everyone who hasn't listened to the soundtrack, go listen right now. I'm gonna show you 5 themes that it is appearing on the screen. It is appearing on the screen right there, right there. It's appearing on the screen. 5 themes to listen to it and just relax. It's amazing. Loved it. I love it. But this is the video, guys. Tell me which opinions of mine are wrong. I know that people will not like me putting Gladiator in pretty average and Dune in the good category, but it's just personal taste. Of course, I'm not right and I'm not wrong. This is just personal opinions, and everyone makes their own opinions. No one is right, no one is wrong. So tell me on the comments your tier list, go make it. I'll just put it on the description, I'll just put it on the description. The tire list, it's tire list, you can't find it really on the internet. I had to make it, so you can go there and make one tire list for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.